Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. So today, we're looking at something pretty interesting. We're going to be talking about Princess Diana,
Oh, yeah.
her style and how it kind of connects with a new t-shirt collection based on her most well-known looks.
I'm
And
excited for this one.
yeah, and you might be thinking, what's so special about some t-shirts? But trust me, there's more to it. It's really about how Diana's legacy, uh, her compassion is being woven into something modern you can wear. It's about making a real difference.
Yeah, and you know what's really fascinating is how this collection is tapping into something really powerful. I mean, Diana is still so popular even after all these years. It goes way beyond just nostalgia. You know, to,
Definitely. I mean, she was such a fashion icon, but what was it about her style that resonated with so many people? Why are we still talking about it today?
that's a great question. I think it's partly because she was able to blend like high fashion with everyday styles. You know, like those t-shirts she wore all the time.
Right. Yeah, I remember those photos of her in jeans, a simple t-shirt, maybe a blazer, visiting children in hospitals or walking through those minefields. It was so different from what people expected from royalty.
Exactly. And I think that reflected a larger change happening at the time. People wanted powerful figures to be more modern and approachable. Her fashion choices weren't just clothes, they were a way of communicating. They showed her empathy and connection with everyday people you know.
So how does this t-shirt collection capture that?
Well, from what I've seen, they've been really careful about including parts of her most famous outfits. You'll see like hints of her favorite colors, those bold patterns she loved, even the way she used accessories to make a plain t-shirt and jeans more interesting.
That's pretty cool. It's like each t-shirt is a piece of fashion history, but with a modern twist. But how do they actually translate those high fashion ideas into, t-shirts?
They focused on those core design elements that made her style so iconic. Like they've used really high quality durable materials, kind of echoes her own attention to detail, you know? But the real difference is what they're doing with it.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. Tell me more about the charity part of this.
So part of the money from each t-shirt goes straight to supporting orphanages in Africa.
Wow, that's incredible. So when you buy one of these t-shirts, you're not just getting something stylish, you're also supporting something Diana really cared about.
Exactly. Remember, Diana wasn't just fashionable. She was a tireless advocate for people in need, especially children. This project allows us to connect with that part of her legacy in a real way.
Can you tell me a bit more about these orphanages? What challenges do they face and what impact do they have on the kids' lives?
We're talking about areas where kids face incredible hardships, poverty, no access to education and health care. It's heartbreaking. These orphanages are so important. They offer food, shelter, medical care, and most importantly, education. It helps them break the cycle of poverty.
So by wearing one of these shirts, you're not just making a fashion statement, you're actually helping a child.
Exactly. It's a real way to make a difference, to honor Diana's legacy, and to be a part of something bigger than ourselves.
But is it really that easy? Some people might be a bit skeptical about fashion actually making a difference in the world.
That's a good point,
Yeah.
and it's important to think critically. But I think what's different here is the intention. It's not just about using Diana's name on a t-shirt.
Right. It sounds like they've really thought about how to connect this collection to her legacy and to make a genuine impact. But how do they make sure the money actually gets to the orphanages and is used properly?
That's a big question, and
Yeah.
probably one a lot of listeners are wondering about. Yeah, it's a really important question, making sure that money's being used well.
Yeah. Transparency and accountability are key when it comes to charity.
For sure. From what I've found, the people behind the t-shirt collection are working with some really good NGOs in Africa. You know, groups that have a history of helping orphanages and making sure the donations go where they're needed most.
That's good to know. It sounds like they're making sure this isn't just a marketing campaign, something with real impact. But I'm kind of curious about the t-shirts themselves. Can we talk about some of the designs and how they relate to Diana's style?
Sure. One that caught my eye was a cool take on that black sheep sweater she wore to a polo match back in 1981.
Oh, yeah. That one made some headlines. Some people thought it was a playful way of showing she didn't quite fit in with the royal family.
Exactly. And the designers have updated that idea,
Yeah.
made it more minimalist and modern. It's subtle, but it shows her playful side and how she wasn't afraid to be different.
Like a secret code for people who know the story behind it, but it also works as a cool design on its own. Kind of reminds me of how she used fashion to say things, subtle messages about how she felt or causes she supported.
Oh, definitely. Like when she went to Angola in 97 and walked through that minefield, she wore casual clothes, like a white t-shirt and khakis. It was a powerful way of standing with the Angolan people and showing how landmines hurt regular people.
Absolutely. And that image of her in the minefield became iconic. It made people around the world pay attention and really helped push for a global ban on landmines.
Yeah, it's a great example of how she used her position and her fashion to support things she believed in. It makes you think about how fashion can be more than just looking good.
Yeah, it can be a way to make real change.
Totally. It starts conversations, challenges norms, and can even get people to take action.
So back to the t-shirts. What other designs stand out and how do they reflect her style?
Well, there's one inspired by her casual looks. Jeans, t-shirts, those oversized blazers, that classic Diana look.
Oh yeah, I love that. So comfortable but still stylish. It seems like the designers really captured that, relaxed but sophisticated vibe. Pieces you can dress up or down.
Exactly. You can wear them with sneakers or dress them up with heels and a statement necklace, just like she did.
And the colors are cool too. They've got those shades. She was known for those soft pastels, the bold reds and blues. Feels very true to her style.
Yeah, and the colors themselves are meaningful, like that amazing pale pink gown in that famous portrait by Lord Snowdon. Pink was usually seen as a delicate feminine color, but she wore it with so much strength and confidence, almost like she was taking it back as a symbol of her own power.
It's amazing how even her color choices could say something whether she meant it or not. This collection isn't just copying her style, it's making us think about how our own fashion choices can send messages.
You got it. It's encouraging us to think about our own style as a way to express ourselves and even be activists.
Speaking of activism, let's talk about her humanitarian work. She worked so hard to raise awareness for issues people weren't talking about, like HIV/AIDS and homelessness.
Totally. She was a real advocate for the underdog. She used her platform to shine a light on people who were pushed aside and forgotten. Remember those photos of her shaking hands with AIDS patients back when people were so scared and confused about the disease?
Yeah, that was revolutionary at the time. It challenged the stigma around AIDS and showed how much she cared for those affected.
It was such a strong example of how human connection can overcome fear and prejudice. And she didn't just put her name on these causes, she was really involved.
Yeah.
Visiting hospitals, shelters, war zones. It was about action, not just words.
And that's why she had such a big impact. She didn't just write checks. She got involved, personally connected with people, and inspired others to do the same.
Yeah, that's a legacy that continues to inspire people.
It really does. It makes me wonder what she'd think of this t-shirt collection. It feels like such a perfect tribute to her, you know? Combining fashion with helping others.
I think she'd be really moved and proud to see how her legacy is being continued in such a creative and meaningful way.
I agree. It's such a nice way to keep her spirit alive and encourage a new generation to live by her values. Kindness, compassion, and taking action.
And speaking of inspiration, let's think about how we can all be more like Diana in our own lives. We may not be famous, but we can all make a difference through small acts of kindness, empathy, and compassion.
That's so important. We don't have to wait for some big opportunity to make a difference. We can start now in our own communities by helping those in need, supporting causes we care about, or just spreading a little kindness.
It's about understanding that we all have the power to make things better no matter how small it might seem.
That's a powerful thought to leave our listeners with as we head into the last part of our deep dive. We'll be back in a bit to wrap up our thoughts on Diana's lasting impact and how fashion can change the world.
Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Princess Diana's legacy. It's really amazing to see how she's still influencing fashion and giving back even now.
It's incredible. And what's really striking is how much those two things were connected for her. She got that fashion wasn't just about looking good. It was a way to communicate, to connect with people, and fight for what she believed in.
Exactly. And it brings us right back to this t-shirt collection we've been talking about. Seems like a perfect tribute to her, don't you think? I think so too. It really captures that mix of style and substance that she had. It's not just about making cool clothes. It's about using fashion to actually make a difference.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Like they've taken that iconic Diana style, the elegance, the bold colors, how she can make a simple t-shirt look amazing, and mixed it with her passion for helping people.
And when you buy one of these t-shirts, you're not just getting a new shirt, you're joining a movement, a group effort to support kids in need and remember Diana.
Like wearing your heart on your sleeve, literally. But why do you think people are still so drawn to her, even younger generations who weren't even born when she was alive?
That's a good question. I think it's partly because she was the people's princess. She broke so many rules, royal ones and just societal ones. She wasn't afraid to show her emotions, to challenge the way things were, to speak up for people who didn't have a voice.
Yeah, she was so different in a world that felt really uptight and formal, and her kindness was so real you could feel it. People could tell she really cared about the things she supported.
Absolutely. That's what makes her story timeless. It reminds us that even people with power and privilege should use it for good, to fight for what's right, and to make the world a kinder place.
And her story also makes us think about how we can make a difference. We might not be famous, but we can all have an impact on the world, even in small ways.
For sure. We can support local charities, volunteer our time, or just help someone who needs it. We can all be kind like Diana.
Yeah, it's about realizing that even little acts of kindness can make a big difference. It starts with us.
It's a great message, right? We all have the power to make a difference.
So as we wrap up our deep dive today, we want to leave you with this. What can you do to make the world a better, more compassionate place, inspired by Diana's example?
Maybe it's supporting these t-shirts. Maybe that's something totally different. But whatever you choose, take that inspiration and turn it into action.
Thanks for joining us as we explored Princess Diana's lasting impact. We hope you're inspired to make a difference. And until next time, keep shining your light.